Good morning, everybody. Matt Modi here with OddsJam, here to give you my NBA player prop best bets for today, Wednesday, January 4th. Pulling all of these plays from OddsJam from the positive expected value page, of course. Actually, some pretty exciting news. I just hit the over 20K in profit using OddsJam after a really good couple weeks. I just came out with a video maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago about how I made over 15K. Since then, in the weeks that have followed, I've had a lot of success. Brought my profit up to 20K using OddsJam. Pretty exciting stuff. What I will say is that not every week is going to be as good as what I've had the past couple weeks. As you can see, there are some down weeks. So if you're using OddsJam and you're not having as much success, I definitely recommend looking at the strategies that I'm doing in these videos that you see on the YouTube channel, and also just understand that variance is the nature of the game. There was like a 6-week stretch where I was down 5 of 6 weeks, some of them down a lot. There was a 3 out of 4 month stretch where I was down. The only 3 months that I've been down using OddsJam happened in a 4-month stretch. It's really frustrating when it happens, but hopefully it is just a bad stretch of variance. So if you are doing the right things, it'll definitely turn around. Like I said, I just recommend using the strategies that you see in this video and then in other videos that you see on the OddsJam YouTube channel as well. But let's get right into these NBA picks. So the first one that we are going to lock in here is Tyler Herro under 5.5 rebounds. So the bet itself is at plus 105 odds at PointsBet. I know that this is the positive expected value bet because it's bolded and it's got the blue rectangle around it. The math behind it and why this is such a good bet is because of this column right here, the no vig odds. So these odds are pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world, the sportsbooks that consistently over the course of time do the best job at pricing odds. So as you can see from this screen here, we see odds range from minus 128 down to plus 105. With odds that differ that much, one of them has to be incorrect, right? It doesn't make sense that both of these odds, as my dog in the background says hi, both of these odds are correct. One of them has to be incorrect. And what OddsJam did was backtest thousands and thousands of betting opportunities to determine what sportsbooks are correct more often than not. And that's what feeds into these odds here. And that's why it's such a powerful tool, because if you think about it logically and just kind of from the start to finish, there are X amount of sportsbooks that are consistently the sharpest at pricing odds. OddsJam backtested, figured out who these X amount of sportsbooks were, and used them to set the market. So these odds that you see here, minus 106.67, can be viewed as the true line of what a market should truly be priced at. So the fact that we are getting better odds by almost 11 cents at plus 105 is a really good sign that this is a profitable bet, right? The sharpest sportsbooks think it should be priced one way. We are getting it a pretty significantly higher payout at plus 105. And then what you want to do, so the screen I have up here, you just highlight where it's blue, or you hover over the play where it's highlighted blue and you just click it. It pulls up this page here where it pulls up all of the different odds and where other sportsbooks price this play at. And you want to compare the bet that you are placing to the rest of the sportsbooks. So we are placing Tyler Herro under 5.5 rebounds. The odds we're betting it at are plus 105. So let's confirm those plus 105 odds to the rest of the sports books. So we do see a couple that are closer. This was actually just added when I re-clicked it. The Pinnacle line has this at minus 102. So that is a little bit closer to the PointsBet line, obviously. Bet Rivers is a little bit above that at minus 106. But then we see Fox Bet minus 138. Bet Online minus 128. FanDuel minus 128. Pinnacle is on average the sharpest sportsbook in the world, but it's not the end all be all. We still like to look at the whole holistic betting market. And admittedly, before this Pinnacle line showed up, I like this play even more. Now that Pinnacle has it at minus 102, I recommend a little bit of a lower unit size, maybe half a unit on this one. I was going to put 3/4 of a unit, maybe at this point put half a unit, but it still is a good play because Bet Online is another book that's really sharp, minus 128. FanDuel, not saying it's the sharpest, but minus 128, and then Fox Bet at minus 138. In no book, even the Pinnacle line has it for plus money that we're getting at plus 105. So this isn't as good as initially thought once I reopened the play, but still is a good play. I recommend putting half a unit on it. Tyler Herro under 5.5 rebounds. Next up, excuse me, we are looking at Mason Plumlee under 9.5 rebounds. This is at -113 odds at BetRivers. So this is obviously in the Grizzlies versus Hornets game. Bolded, blue rectangle around it, telling me that this is the positive expected value play. And this is my second one for this video. So we know we're taking the Mason Plumlee under 9.5. Looks like the OddsJam perfect line prices this just below -122 at -121.84. We can round up to -122. So then you want to find the bet that you are placing, Mason Plumlee under 9.5. You want to find the odds that you're placing the bet at, -113, and then you want to compare that to the rest of the sports books and make sure that you are betting on an outlier compared to the rest of the sports books. And I didn't mention this above, but the reason why you want to make sure that the bet that you're placing is an outlier, because if it is an outlier, that's basically a sign that this is a profitable bet, right? The reason being, all of these sports books, Pinnacle, -149, FanDuel, -138, PointsBet, -145. So the three of them have it significantly more likely to occur, and then BetMGM has it closer to the BetRivers line at -113. Also, plus EV at BetMGM. If you don't use BetRivers, you can use BetMGM, still plus EV at -115. But majority of the sportsbooks have the under as the heavily favored scenario. Except for BetRivers and BetMGM. The most logical scenario here is that the majority of sportsbooks are correct and that the minority of sportsbooks are incorrect. They just haven't updated their lines quickly enough. As we can see from all these screenshots, sportsbooks are going to have different lines. They're going to have different ways of pricing odds. They're not all going to be correct. So if you're able to compare the bet that you're placing to the holistic view of the betting market and make that determination, okay, this one is truly an outlier, telling you that this actually is mispriced by BetRivers and BetMGM, should be priced lower than that, meaning more favorable, we're getting a better payout, profitable bet. This is bet number 2, Mason Plumlee under 9.5 rebounds. Next up, the play that I wanted to lock in here. Actually, so this is an example of one that I'm going to also have a lower unit size. So this one, I'd recommend putting 75, or for me, that's $75, 3/4 of a unit. For this one, similar to the Tyler Herro one, unit size this one down to maybe half a unit. And the reason why, so BetMGM has this at +115. OddsJam perfect line has this at about +111. And then if you compare the BetMGM line, the over 4.5 at +115, to the rest of the sports books, both the BetMGM line and the Pinnacle line are outliers, right? Like Pinnacle has this as the heavily favored outcome, even as an outlier to the rest of the sports books, even like the majority here. So does BetMGM. No book has this above +106. No book has this below -105. Both BetMGM and Pinnacle are probably an outlier here. That the true odds for this should probably be closer to the middle, where all the rest of the sports books have it priced, ranging from -105 to +106. So this is a good bet. Just lower the unit size a little bit, because Pinnacle also is probably a little bit of an outlier in terms of how favored they have this outcome. So this is going to be the third play regardless. Julius Randle over 4.5 assists, +115 odds at BetMGM. My third play. And then the fourth one is this Steven Adams over 2.5 assists. This is at +135 odds at Bet365. Another example of where both the Pinnacle line and the Bet365 line are actually looked to be the outliers here. So this is another one I'd recommend putting half a unit on this one. Pinnacle has it down at +111. Majority of the sports books kind of have it in the middle, +125, +120, +123. Probably should be priced somewhere around here. Still making the Bet365 line an outlier. So this will be my fourth pick, Steven Adams over 2.5 assists. And then this Damian Lillard one as well, I really like. This is my fifth pick for this video. Damian Lillard over 8.5 assists. This is obviously in the Blazers versus Timberwolves game. The Novig odds price this at about +123. We are getting it at +125. So still a smaller gap between the OddsJam perfect line and the bet that we are placing. But even the smaller gaps can still be profitable. So I won't ignore or just completely avoid a play because it has a lower gap between the two numbers or a lower EV percent, right? Like the closer these two numbers are together, the higher this percent is going to be. That doesn't necessarily mean you should just ignore lower EV percent plays. I still like to click into them, make sure that if they are still an outlier, if it's still a good play, then I'll still bet it. Like this Damian Lillard one, plus 125 at Bet365. And then look at the other sports books. Clear outlier here. The closest book is Bet Online, 12 cents lower, plus 110, plus 113, plus 105, plus 110. And then we're getting it all the way up at plus 125. Clear outlier here at Bet365. And then the last one that I'm going to lock in here is DeAndre Ayton under 18.5 points in the Suns versus Cavs game. OddsJam Perfect Line prices this pretty much at minus 117. We are getting it at minus 115 at PointsBet. And then same thing, let's compare the PointsBet line to the rest of the sports books. So we see 10 cents higher at BetMGM and Pinnacle as the closest sports books. And then we see odds ranging all the way from minus 129 to minus 132. And then DraftKings has it all the way at minus 145. So this minus 115, another example of a clear outlier compared to every other sports book. So this is something that, again, I recommend betting because it's an outlier, profitable bet. So this is going to be the last pick of this video. I think that was 5 or 6 for you guys. A lot of player props. We got a huge NBA slate, so it only makes sense to have more plays, and more volume equals better. You know, the more profitable plays that you are able to add, that you are able to play, is the better. So I definitely recommend, if you're debating between how much to spend and you're debating between more bets for lower unit size or less bets for higher unit size, I definitely opt for more bets, just lower how much you put on a bet. Like if you only have 10 or $100 to play with, I would recommend putting $10 10 bets for $10 versus $50 bets that are only 2 of them, right? The more volume equals better. The more profitable bets equals better, which is why I had so many today. But that is going to be it. So a bunch of bets for you guys to lock in. If you're tailing, comment, let me know. Other than that, would appreciate a like on the video. If you could subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel, helps me out a ton. But that's it. So enjoy the NBA slate tonight. Happy betting, happy watching, and good luck.